Uh, Farcaster are basically the UI frames which let you help in rendering the video or 3D 3D frames. Yes, that's all I know.
Awesome. Sure. Yeah, I had prepared like a slide and everything, but I think because we have a smaller group, it can be a better discussion. But I think I'll start with what are frames, right? So I think just wanted to know what's we like all of you all are developers or anyone is non-tech. Yeah, you all can let maybe write it in the chat. I just want to know like what's the how about others? Okay, perfect. Okay. So then most of y'all will know about the open graph image, right? So the Farcaster frames is basically built upon that. So on any website, the open graph image is just one image, but Farcaster enables you to have it in a more dynamic way where people can interact. So you can have buttons, and then with buttons you can change the images as such, right? So basically the base is open graph image, and on that the Farcaster's team has enabled you to build things. So let me start with, yeah, Solana Blinks will be similar. I think Solana Blinks works with a Chrome extension, but Farcaster enables you to without that, and it works on mobile as well. Yeah, so basically if you see it's, I'll just go down. So this is your base of your frames, right? So it's all in your metadata, and in metadata you can have buttons and everything that works. Now this is the very raw version of it, but we have got other frameworks which enable us to do this in a better way. Those frameworks, two of them is Frog and Frames.js. So what they have done is they have made a framework on top of it, which makes it easier for us to have API calls, have dynamic images, take user data, play with the user data, and all of those things, right? And few things that like if when you're thinking of frames, few things that you can do is which are interesting is make transactions, right? So if you're getting like if you want to make any on wallet transaction, that can be done easily. So they've called this a mint function and a transaction function. With mint function you mint out a NFT, and there's a transaction function where it allows you to interact with the wallet and make any kind of transaction from user to wallet directly, or with a smart contract in between. uh, yeah, so this is like the base of it, but what I want to do is take you through maybe some of the frames that I have made, how those works, and after that, if anyone you all have some ideas on any frame or something that you all want to build, we can get into how you can do that. Yeah. So I'm gonna share my screen. So this is the frame that I will get into detail on how it is made, right? So what this does is, like this is like a tipping kind of frame. So if someone has tipped, the bot will reply back if the tip is successful or not, and will tell the person, okay, you've tipped this person, and this is the balance you've left. And then when you do check stats, it will give you the stat. So yeah, it's giving me stats like I have won this many points, this much I have allowance of that I can tip, invites left, what's my week allowance, everything. So I'm not sure how many of you all know about degen tipping. Does anyone know that? Yeah. So yeah, so this is what I built is very similar to degen tipping, but like it has a different token called Bren, and this I built it out in FBI. Yeah, so this is what is building now. I'll get into the code on how we can go about building this, right? So it has I'll say two three things which we do. So what we do is we see the person who's interacting with it, the Farcaster user. Then we are taking that Farcaster user data, and then I'm calling my Brain API to get the data and then showing it all here. So we'll do this in Frame.js, and then I'll show you how you get the data and how you can make that. Yeah. So, okay, this is my frame here. So I'll share the document of Frame.js. It's pretty simple how to install it. Once you've installed it and you run the code, it will open up something like this for you. So this is like a debugger where you can see how the frame looks, if it's working, if it's having any issues and stuff like that. So yeah, once you download the Frame.js, you need you will need to, so this is an app router, so you will have to like make like a frames route, and that your first route is here. Now how frames js works is it help for each screen that you want to show, you will make a different route, and in each route you define what the image will be and what are the buttons the image will have. And then once the person clicks on the button, which route you want to take that person to. And over here you can even link to maybe an external link if you don't want to route it to the next one. But this is like the basic thing. So like uh, the images you make in your normal css, or you can also use tailwind over here. They support tailwind, so you can make those images and see how it looks. uh, the images work in only two aspect ratio, which is 1:1 or 1:91. So the one that I have right here is the square one, or you can do a rectangle one. So how do we get now this user data is uh, when you're doing your first route, you will not get the data because the data comes from your ctx, and that you get only in the second route. So in your first route you keep a very simple intro slide saying okay, do this or whatever the frame is about, and once the person click and goes from the second route, I'll show the stats one. There we can get all their data. So all of this data I'm getting from frame.js. So it's in your ctx message, and then you can get the FID of the person, the profile image, the username, everything, and which is what I will be using to show it over here. Okay, so it's not working because my route is wrong. So I'll just check that.
Siri here. Let me know. Okay. Let me know if there's anything else I can.
Okay, this is not updating. So yeah, basically I'll show it here. So yeah, like this is how the image and everything it's taking over here. So over image I'm saying PFP, which I'm getting from your message request to data profile image, and that's how you can show it. And yeah, all of your style CSS work as it is. You just have to make sure that certain things will not work here, that like transform and all, so those things you have to make sure, but otherwise most of it's good. Another thing is, if you don't want to create the image in code, you can just simply put the image link if you have that. So instead of creating all this image over here, I'll remove this, and here I can just add the image link, and that image will work as it is, and then you'll have the buttons below to take it to the next route or something. Any questions till now, or anything that you all? Yeah, so Frame.js has a lot of examples. My this Bren code base, it's not public, but Frame.js has a lot of examples which you can just take it up and start. Okay, once we create a frame, how do we deploy it on Farcaster? So it's simple. You uh, deploy it on Vercel or anywhere, and then you take the link where your frames is hosted. So maybe your domain slash frames, and then you can have it here. So if you see this one, I've hosted on Vercel, and then it's on the route API. So I just put that, and then I can validate it if it's working or not. So this is how it will come. Interaction with the frame record on the chain, if you enable that, yes, it won't happen automatically. So if you say that when the person is clicking on my button and then you call your contract or an API uh, to record that thing on chain, then it will happen. Okay, is region a chain or a token on base? Region is a token on base as well a chain, both. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that I'll show y'all another yeah, how you can interact with other APIs is pretty simple. You just like make a call of whatever you are having, and then it works. So in nutshell, if you are a developer, it will be very simple for you to understand Frame.js, because it's taking all the things that you're already using, but you just have to know how the routes work, which is also not very complicated. You just have to put it on like the button. The target is that. I can another thing I can show you all is, yeah, so if you don't want to link it to a next route, you just link it to a link which is shared, and your target will be outside. So and that this one comes out like this, so it will be like, okay, you need to get out of this. um, okay, yeah, anything else? This is another frame that I made, and this does the transaction part of it. So basically it's like a crowdfunding. Now when I click on support, I can select how much money, and then when I do buy coffee, this is how your transaction thing happens on frame. So it's like the person can just do continue in wallet and this will be done, right? So for this you have a different function called mint or transaction. Mint you use for NFTs, and transaction is when you have a smart contract, you add your ABI and everything, and that's how it will work. Yeah, anything do you anything else you all want to understand in this part, how the transaction is made? Like maybe do you want to see the code for that? Let me show you the mint code. So basic, this is all we need over here. I'm not using a smart contract, so you can also do transactions on frame without using a smart contract. So you basically just give the chain ID. The method is send transaction to wallet. This is where share the address, and this is where I share how much money we are sending, right? So if you'll see, I have like region, arbitrary, and base over here, and then I send a value what I get from my other frames over here, the chain ID, and this is what is enabling the transaction that just showed you on base coffee. So it's pretty simple. Like you just need this, like these codes, which is again available on the frame.js GitHub, so you can just copy paste it. So this is how the transaction one work. The mint one is something similar, but I've not done that. But me, yeah, it would not be much difference. It's just that you will be interacting with a smart contract there. So instead of the ABI being blank, you will put the ABI of your smart contract. Yep. So, anyone has any idea of frames or anything they will want to build, or maybe anything came up to you right now when I was telling you how things work? And if you do, we can discuss on how you can go about building that. Okay, pole frame. A pole frame will be pretty simple. Uh, it okay. I think frame. Yes. So here they have all the examples. I think they do have of a pole frame too. Okay, I can't find it, but for the pole frame, do you all want like to do like a or code session right now? We can do that. Yeah. And if Sarthak, you have the idea of the pole frame, can you like say how you will want the flow of that, and then we can maybe see if we can build it right now. I can guide you on that. What do you mean by decentralized poles? Like a pole on a smart contract or something? Can you explain that? Yeah, I think we already have something like that. If I'll show you. So this is, I think, what you are saying. So yeah, people can create a poll and then it works. It will create a Farcaster. So just test. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, this is what a poll frame will look like. Is what similarly what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. Voting frame can be interesting. A voting frame will be simple. Let me open a doc and we can maybe do like a. You want me to create that or show how that works? Voting, a kind of a voting frame, yes. Okay. I think I had closed this frame. I hope everything is working on this. Okay. This is a voting frame. Over here, what I'm doing is I'm using a super-based database to keep a record of everyone's vote, and according to that, we'll show the leaderboard. So if I, yeah, so this leaderboard is coming from a super-based database. So how it works is when the person first comes, um, yeah, right now I've closed it, but when the first ones have come, they'll first check the eligibility if they're eligible to vote. Those eligibility once is checked, it says okay, good, and then we go to the next frame. And one. I don't know why this is not updating. But the thing is, I can't go directly to route one because I will not get the user data otherwise. So I need to go by route. Yeah, so basically we were doing like you vote for one person based and one person not based. So when you're doing vote for based, I can just add the person's FID or name. So maybe I'll add on the back end. What I'm doing is when I get the FID or the name, I am taking that from the input text over here and then sending it to a API where I get the details of that person. So that's a Nenad API. Nenad is basically your database layer, which helps you get all the data from Farcaster. So they run their own hubs and then give you like simple APIs to get all the data. So yeah, then I'll run that FID over here, and then all the details that I get, I'll show it in this frame. And once you confirm it, I'll call my database over here to say, okay, the person FID is nominating this person with all this username and save it. And that is how I have my database, which helps me to show the leaderboard. So yeah, this is what would be like a voting thing that you asked. And yeah, like I'm using a database because it's just easier, but you all can save the same thing on a smart contract if you get one. Yeah, anything else you all want to discuss, or like any things that I've discussed, or anything you all want to get more into detail about? Yeah, anyone? Nothing? Or language, it's you, if you know React or yeah, React can be the language that you can go with, or you can even go with simple HTML. That will also work. So both of them work. Like all the example that I've showed is in React Next.js, but if you don't know that, you can also go with your simple JavaScript HTML also. If you the best place to start, I will say, is Frames.js. Uh, they have a very quick example to get you started, so that will be something that you should definitely go through. Like I think my first frame was this one. I'll show you. So this is the first frame that I had made. It is like a very simple trivia frame, taking images and asking users to guess the city. So yeah, so basically here I'm not using any database or anything, but just storing the scores in a state and then showing it out.
Hello,
Yeah.
ma'am. Can tell you more about the Webcast? What is it?
Okay, a Bobcast is basically like uh, your Twitter, but it's decentralized because it's using Farcaster protocol. So if you see, it basically looks very similar to Twitter, You have your casts and everything, but it's decentralized. Everything is on a hub, and all the data that you want, you can get it directly. There's no need to pay for an API or something, and all the data is available.
Okay. So how it's the frames frames are different from the normal code, like you आपने अभी दिखाया कि आपने फ्रेम्स दिखाए चला के एक तरह से बेसिकली फोटोज दिखाई एंड ट्रैकर दिखाया, तो
Mm-hmm.
वो सिंपल कोडिंग से डिफरेंट कैसे होगा एक तरह से फ्रेम्स?
Yeah. इससे डिफरेंस होगा?
सिंपल कोडिंग एक तरह से मैं बेसिकली ये तो मैं उनकी रिएक्ट में या नेक्स्ट जेएस में मैं सिंपल बता सकता हूँ, फिर
Yeah.
डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन
So
डिफरेंस.
this, FrameJS is like a framework that you use, but if you don't want to use any framework, you can make frames without that also. As I have shown you, you can like basically use your simple meta tags to do that. So you don't need any framework. You can do it with meta tags as well. But the framework just makes it easier when you're making complicated things.
ओके. सो बेसिकली फ्रेम्स जो हो गए हमारे डिप्लॉय नहीं होते चेन पे, हमारे ईवीएम चेन हो गई, वहाँ डिप्लॉय नहीं होते बेसिकली, ये सिंपल आपका बस वेब ऐप में इंटीग्रेट होते हैं.
Yeah. So basically, I will say frames. I would. It's not like deployed on the chain. Frames is basically your. I will say a mix of Web 2, Web 3, right? Because frames go on Webcast as an embed. Now that embed is going on chain, but your frame can just be in your Vercel and has no interaction with on chain as well. So think of frames as just your open graph image, right? Like you have open graph image on any website. So those are your like static frames, but they don't have any interaction. You don't have any buttons or anything. You just simply link it to one website. But a Webcast or Farcaster enables you to make interactions in that.
ओके, थैंक यू.
What do you mean criteria? As in, can you explain what you are saying? I didn't understand that.
Okay, so what I mean is, let's say in case of you develop an Android application, so Google
Mhm.
has Play Store,
Okay, okay,
there,
okay.
so it has
So,
some its criteria, maybe logo or some basic criteria. So is there anything, and Play Store becomes a medium of distribution. So
right.
does Frames also have something similar?
No, so I will say there's no basic thing that you have to go through a review or anything. You can like anyone can launch any frame they want, and distribution wise, they don't have like they do have just one trending frames thing, but distribution is basically what your distribution will be on uh, Webcast. So basically, the frames will come on your feed just like this, right? So this is a frame. You just post it out over here. So instead of an image or a video, you're posting out a frame. So there's no separate distribution. It's just the feed and the followers that you have, or and the engagement that you get on whatever you're saying. So like this is again a frame, this is again another frame. Now this frame is for bidding on these fan token stuff. So there's no review mechanism because you're not putting it out on any Play Store as such. It's basically you're putting out as a content on your feed. Yeah.
And for example, I mean, then let's say tomorrow, every day, like 50, 100 frames comes up.
Yeah.
How do we ensure that it reaches, or at least it comes on the feed of everyone or majority of them?
That depends on the followers and engagement you have on Webcast, right? Because Webcast as such is not giving any other way for frames to be discovered. Like there are few people who have made some repositories of frames and all of those things, but
Mhm.
I've not seen any of them like take up a lot. usually what happens is, if you make a frame that a lot of people are using, then people start sharing it, and as more people share it, more people look at it. So like I think one of the frames that I had made, I just put it out on my profile. I think I had like 200-300 followers, but a lot of people liked it and they were sharing it. So at the end of it, I had almost 20,000 people using that frame because everyone was sharing it. So I think when you're building a frame, maybe enabling those sharing mechanisms could really help you get the distribution.
What do you mean by sharing mechanism?
So I will show you.
I missed it if you did cover.
Yes, I think I had over here. Stuff. Okay.
So sharing mechanism is that just say we
I
share it
will
from the.
just explain. So over here, maybe so this is the last screen of my frame. Over there I'm saying you share it. Now in share, what am I doing is I'm making a Webcast intent where I'm saying, okay, webcast.com compose. In the embed, I'm putting my frame link. So what happens is when the person, I don't know if I can find a share frame over here. Yeah, there you will see a lot of mint frames. Maybe I could go for my one of mine. Hmm. So this one, if you see share, when I do it, opens like a cast for me and it puts the frame over here again, and then I'll say, oh, I use this frame, it's great, see what I've seen or what I've got, or this is my stats, and I'm putting that here. And when then what happens is, like, I may have 300 followers, but someone who's sharing it has maybe 300k followers, then more people get to see the frame. So this is what I mean by enabling the share mechanism. So maybe anything that you're doing in a frame, in your last thing, you should have a share where you're letting the person share it again on their cast. Okay. Any other questions anyone else has? Kushal, anything else you think I should cover? And I think if you all want to make very simple frames where which won't require using user data and all of those things, and there are few no code builders as well. So what they basically do is, like, you upload maybe 6-7 images, and it becomes like a slideshow kind of a thing. I can show you that one. And, yeah, frame studio. So yeah, Nena has this thing called a frame studio. What it enables you is to create frames but in a no code way. So you don't have to code or deploy or do anything. You just put your images there, you say where how it should be linked, and you're good to go. Just logging in and then I'll show you all. Yeah, so I think the only limitation there happens is you can't have a lot of user data interactions and stuff. But otherwise, if you just want to like mint something, you can do that. So if you see over here, so they have some templates also, right? So like a slideshow, image gallery, if you want to get an input frame, stuff like that. So maybe let's see this input frame. So yeah, very simple way you say what you want to call the name of your first screen. You want to add the image URL, you want to upload it, or you want to add a text to that image, you can do that again. Move between aspect ratios. Then you can have the button. So maybe this button takes you to the next page. It takes you to an external link or a mint URL. Now, when you're using a mint URL, I think they only support Zora. So if you have your NFT on Zora, then you can just simply put that URL over here, and this frame will enable the minting over there. Then they have another frame, which is basically what happens in frames is if I have made a frame and you have made a frame, but I want my frame to then link to your frame, is what you can do it here. So like another frame, I'll add another link, and from my frame it will open that frame as well. So that's called the composability of frames. But yeah, this is your no code way. So you just add all your images, link it up, and then they will give you like a link which you can directly post on Bobcast. Yeah, any questions on this or anything else? I think for my Farcaster worth frame, which was basically a frame where you can see what's your Farcaster account worth. I think for that I must have got a lot of teaching, but I don't remember the exact amount. But I will say cumulatively it was around at least 500 USD. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think what will really help is first y'all spend at least a week on Webcast, just seeing what people are doing if y'all have not used it at all. Because I think when I first came, also I just spent a week seeing what people are doing, so you understand how things work, what people talk about or what they are engaging in, and you see all the kind of frames people are building, right? And then maybe you get ideas of what you want to build. And if you don't get ideas, there's this thing called bounty casters, where people keep putting up ideas that they will want to get built, and then they put up bounty on it. So maybe you take that up and build that up and learn while doing it. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are there. That's why they might not be getting a lot of things we are talking. Okay. Okay. Mm. Yeah, and I think I am there on the group. Y'all can ping me anytime y'all are building something and you get stuck. What I'll do is maybe I'll share a bunch of links that y'all can go through that can help you get started. There is a few YouTube videos also which like takes you step by step to create your frame. So maybe that will be helpful as well. So I'll share that with you for sure. Okay. So thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay, bye bye. Have a good evening.